Studios in Lynbrook. This is SportsBash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. SportsBash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Sports Bash. Want to send, again, our continued best wishes to Tony Walker over at Governor's Comedy Club. Still dealing with something, and we wish him the best. So, again, we thank everyone here at Collaborate for having us back, especially Chris Ganem and everybody here. We love being here when we have to. And it's a great setup, so we appreciate for this week, and at least through next week, we're going to have Sports Bash here at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook. Coming up on the show, I'll be joined by Art Stapleton. He covers the Giants for The Record and NorthJersey.com, and we're also going to have a little fun on the interview. We're going to talk a little WrestleMania 42 with Art, who's a big wrestling fan as well. So we'll talk about some of the matches at WrestleMania 42 this weekend in Las Vegas. We'll also have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, what's hot at ticketbash.com, and the Coach's Collectibles item of the week. And it's time, as we always do at the beginning of the show, the Sports Bash Flash. It's presented by the Marty Lyons Foundation, granting wishes for more than 43 years. The Mets lost their seventh straight game, losing to the Dodgers 8-2. The Mets are off today before opening a series with the Cubs in Chicago on Friday. The Mets made a trade today, dealing pitcher Richard Lovelady to the Nationals for cash, and a little trade there for the Mets today. The Yankees won last night. They scored 2 in the ninth, beat the Angels 5-4 in the Bronx. The Yankees and Angels finish up their 4-game series this afternoon in the Bronx, and it was announced today Garrett Cole is going to make a rehab appearance for Somerset, AA Somerset, on Friday. Hockey, the Rangers concluded their season with a 4-2 win over the Lightning in Tampa. It's funny when we do this show, I generally have an idea earlier in the morning what I'm going to start the show with. And I was really thinking about it. I was going to talk a little mixed bag of things, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever it was. But I thought about it this morning, and I really feel like there was something else that I wanted to talk about. And I want to talk about sports fandom. And people who don't watch sports, don't get it, will not understand a word that I'm talking about here. But sports fandom is a very special thing, especially for those who are passionate about sports. You adopt a team, or you get your favorite teams via your parents or whatever it might be. And it really should be that you stick with those teams through thick and thin. There really shouldn't be anything that deters you from rooting for that team. I was always careful. I was always hesitant to work for one of the teams that I work for, that I root for. And because I know people that worked for the teams that they root for, and they would get fired, and then they would have hatred towards that team. And I never would want to put myself in that position. But when you root for a team, you should stay with that team through thick and thin. And they're really, again, losing happens. Not everybody can root for the Boston Celtics. Not everybody can root for the Montreal Canadiens when they were on fire. Not everybody is a Yankee fan when they were on top of Major League Baseball. Look, the Islanders had their dynasty. Not everybody goes through that. And even the worst franchises, and even the franchises that just can't win. I'm a diehard Jet fan almost all my life. When I started rooting for the Jets in 1977, and I haven't given up on them. But God knows they've given me all kinds of I don't even know what you would call it, heartache, just agita over the years, and I've never given up on the Jets. And the thing that really bothers me about giving up on a team is when someone does that because of political reasons. And politics and sports really should never mix. The only time that sports and politics mix is if a municipality is building a stadium or an arena for a team, and the politicians get involved in it. But political beliefs should not play a role in your sports fandom. And I just don't get how that could get in the way for people. It's mind-boggling to me that you could be a fan of a team your whole life, and one little political thing that bothers you makes you switch allegiances to another team. And I just don't understand that. I root for my teams, win or lose or tie. It doesn't matter. Now, look, something really, really crappy could happen with the owner. Like if you were an LA Clippers fan years ago and Donald Sterling was the owner of that team, remember he got into that whole thing with, sexual harassment and stuff like that. And I think he might have said some hateful things about minorities. And Clipper fans were upset, and the NBA got upset, and they forced him out. They made him sell the team. In the case of other things that are just politically driven, why would you give up your fandom? If you're a fan of a team for 50 years, why would you do that? I don't understand it. I root for my teams, thick or thin. I've passed that down to my kids. My wife has passed it down to our kids. It's just a way of life. Sports is kind of like a religion to a lot of people. And, for me, family comes first. Sports is right after that. It always has been. It's been my job since 1989. It's how I've made a living for the most part since then. And throughout all of those years, I'm coming up on 37 years in sports, working in sports since I graduated college in 1989. And nothing has ever stopped me from rooting for my teams. It's funny, if people bring it up to me all the time. It's amazing how you work in sports, but you still root for your teams. And yeah, I cover the Islanders for WFAN, but I still go to the games with my family too. Some games I'll sit in the press box. Some games I'll go as a fan. I'll put my jersey on. Same thing for anything else. I'll go to a Knick game, put my jersey on. I'll go to a Yankee game, put my jersey on. And people are amazed that I can do that on both ends. And I say the same thing all the time. The day that somebody tells me that I can't work in sports and be a sports fan at the same time is the day that I won't do this anymore. I'll go get a real job. I'll go work in a shoe store. I'll go, I don't know. I'll go pump gas or something like that. Whatever it takes to make a living, I'll do that. But that's how I feel about it. The day that somebody tells me I can't be a sports fan, I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, one thing is for sure, there is really nothing that any of my teams could do to me that would make me give up on them, that would make me switch allegiances. And I can tell you right now, on this day, Thursday, April 16th, just after 1 o'clock Eastern time, you will never see me put a Met jersey on. You will never see me put a Nets jersey on. You will never see me put a Giants jersey on. And you most certainly would never see me put a Rangers jersey on. There's really nothing that the teams that I root for, the Islanders, the Jets, the Knicks, the Yankees, and I'm only talking about the four major sports, there's nothing that they can do to me politically that would ever stop me from rooting for my teams. That I would change teams because of political reasons, even if it's a publicity stunt. Shame on you for doing that. I had an argument with some people at WFAN because there was a guy who used to work at WFAN that got invited into the Islanders owner's suite. And when we've done that before too, my family and I. So when you get invited into the suite, John Ledecky is like, what can we do for you? And, whatever. So this guy was in the owner's suite and they gave him a jersey, and he's a Rangers fan. And they gave the guy a jersey, and he wears it when he goes to Islander games. He's a Rangers fan. Just because the owner of the Islanders gave you a jersey, you're going to put the Islander jersey on? I can tell you right now, if Jim Dolan ever invited me into a suite at Madison Square Garden and said, here's a Rangers jersey for you, here's what I would do. I would be respectful. I would say, I appreciate it. I would take it. I would never in a million years put it on. But we do have family that are Ranger fans, and I would gladly hand it to a cousin I know that's a Ranger fan who also has the last name of Schwartz. And the reason that is because my wife's maiden name is Schwartz also. So there are Schwartzes on both sides of the family, and there are Ranger fans whose last name is Schwartz. And I would take that jersey and just give it to a family member. If they didn't make up the jersey with a last name, I might put a different last name on it and give it to somebody else I know who's a Ranger fan. But never in a million years would you ever see me put that jersey on. You'll never see me put a Met jersey on. You'll never see me put a Nets jersey on. You'll never see me put a Giants jersey on. And hell would have to freeze over a million times over before you would ever see me put a Ranger jersey on. It's just never going to happen. And I don't care what political beliefs any of the owners of my team have at the time. It's not taking me away from my fandom. And excuse my language, but if you do that for political reasons, that's bullshit. Absolute 100% bullshit that you would give up on your team because of political reasons. I don't get it. Sports is supposed to be an escape from reality. It's supposed to take your mind off of problems that you may have. I can't tell you how many times I've had a real crappy day. And I've either gone to a game with my family or I've watched the game on TV, and sports puts a smile on my face. I'll give you a perfect example of that. When my father passed away in December of 1999, obviously, I'm in the dumps. I mean, I lost my dad. And I fly down to Florida, for the funeral and to be with my mom for the whole week. I took the whole week off of work to went down, be with my mom and my brother. And it just so happens the day after the funeral, that Monday night, the Jets are in Miami. And I'm coming off 48 of the worst hours of my life when my father passed away. And the Jets are playing the Dolphins in Miami. And it's during the day, and my mom's at home. And obviously, she's not doing well. Her husband just passed away. And she said, what are you going to do tonight? And I said, I'm going to stay home with you. I'm going to watch the Jet game on TV. She goes, why don't you go to the Jet game? I'm like, no, I can't go to the Jet game. I can't leave my mom alone. My brother was working, but I wasn't leaving my mother alone to go to the Jet game. I sat at home and watched the game on TV, and the Jets kicked the crap out of the Dolphins. Ray Lucas was the Jets quarterback, and I've had him on various shows that I've done in recent years, and I've always thanked him for putting a smile on my face the day after I buried my father. So that's what sports can do for you. Sports lifted up this country after 9/11. If you're a Met fan, who's going to forget Mike Piazza's home run against the Braves in the first major regular season sporting event after 9/11? Against the Braves, he hit that big home run, and the Mets won. And I remember being in the press box at Chase Stadium, and the place was shaking. And the Yankees got to the World Series that year. So sports has a way of healing everybody, putting a smile on your face on a bad day. And you're going to let a political reason be the reason why you would dump your team for another team? What are we doing here? Your team is your team. And you stick with your team, win, lose, or draw, whether they're 500, whether they're a losing team, you're supposed to stick with your team. You don't You don't abandon your team because you didn't like something that the mascot did with a politician. I mean, if I didn't give up on the Jets at this point, I mean, obviously I'm never going to, but they've given me every reason in the book to bail on them over the years, and you'll never see that happen. You'll never, ever see me bail on my teams for any reason. Because let me just tell you, if the owner did anything wrong morally, a serious crime, an immoral thing to do, the league is going to make them sell the team, just like they did with Donald Sterling and just like Major League Baseball did with Marge Schott. And she made some anti-Semitic remarks. And if it's a player or a coach or a front office employee that does something wrong, you know they're going to lose their job. So you don't give up on your team for political reasons. And I know it's sports. It's not the end-all be-all in the world. We have a lot of things to worry about. You worry about putting food on the table for your family. You worry about having a roof over your head. You worry about health and happiness and being there for your family and being there for your friends. And sports is an escape from that. And for people like myself, it's also a way of living. It's also a job. But it's not something that it's not a situation where politics should control how you feel about it. I don't get it. I love my teams, each and every one of them. And I don't care if the Jets go 0-17 this year, they're still my team. I don't care if the Yankees they'll never go 0-162. If the Yankees only win 40 games this year, I'll still be a Yankee fan. The Islanders have not made the playoffs 2 years in a row, and they're my favorite team of all. I'm not giving up on them. No way. And the Knicks are in the playoffs. Hope they win an NBA championship, but if they don't, it's no big deal. They don't make the playoffs, it's no big deal. I'm upset, but I'm not giving up on them. And this is what people decide to do. They decide to say, oh, look at me. I'm now this fan. I used to root for this team, and now I root for this team because I didn't like something that happened politically. Get lost. I mean, seriously. Being a sports fan is really, really special. It really is a cool thing to love sports. And I know that there's people who just don't understand, like, why did it bother you that the Islanders lost the other night? Why did it bother you? Like, because you invested 3 hours in watching the game. And people have seen me on Mondays, and they're like, why are you so upset? I'm like, I watched the Jet game yesterday. And it goes away eventually because you have life's problems to figure out. But you shouldn't give up for politics. It's your team. It's ridiculous. We're going to take a really quick break. We're going to have this word from the Embassy Diner. And when we come back, I'm going to talk to Art Stapleton. We're going to talk about the Giants draft and also WrestleMania 42 right after this quick word from the Embassy Diner. Sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention SportsBash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always.
Welcome back to SportsBash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. So welcome back into a SportsBash for this Thursday. We are a week away from the NFL draft. On Tuesday's show, we're going to talk about what the Jets might do with picks number 2 and 16. But today is a Giants day here on the show. We welcome in a good friend of mine. He's been on the show a couple of times before. We always love talking Giants football with Art Stapleton from The Record and NorthJersey.com. Art, it's Peter. How are you, sir?
What's up, Peter? How are you?
I'm doing great. And we're going to talk about WrestleMania a little bit too. So I have my Roman Reigns t-shirt on today, if you can see that. So we look forward to talking about that. But we are a week out from the NFL draft. The Giants, barring a trade, will pick fifth. Before we talk about the fifth pick specifically, when the Giants go into this draft with 7 selections, what are they looking to do? What's their biggest needs? And what do you think they'll focus on next week?
Well, I think at 5 overall, I think they're just looking to pick the best player. I know you hear the best player available all the time, but I had somebody tell me at the combine a couple months ago, and it's really stood the test of time over the years, is the idea that you never select a good player and pass up on a great player because of possessional value or because of need. So I think that's where the Giants are at. I mean, they won't be taking a quarterback, I can tell you that much. But I think, after that, I think there's the focus on the interior offensive line, specifically the right guard spot. And I think the defensive tackle spot in a shallow class, and that was before Dexter Lawrence's trade request and, his uncertain future here with the Giants moving forward. So I think that's kind of where you're sitting right now as far as they only have 2 picks in the top 105, and that's because they traded their 3rd-round pick last year in the Jackson Dart deal. I think they'll do that deal 99 times out of 100, and probably that 100th time as well, for what they got out of Jackson Dart and where he goes going forward. So that's kind of where I think the Giants are at. I think you're looking at the trenches, especially on the interior, and then who will they pick with that first pick? They could end up going linebacker, could go safety, could go running back. I'm sure we'll get into that next.
Absolutely. That's the next question. The Giants have the 5th pick in the draft next Thursday. I've seen a million different mock drafts. You watch enough college football, you know who these guys are that are in the top 10. Some people have the Giants going with Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. Some people say they'll take Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. And, of course, there's Miami lineman Francis Marinoa. I think any of those players would be a great fit for the Giants at number 5, right?
Yeah, I think, I'll leave you. I'll tell you this quick one from the owners' meetings out in Arizona 2 weeks ago. Giants had a very large contingent at Ohio State's pro day. And what I was told by somebody there who was in attendance for the Giants, and the idea was, what'd you think of Ohio State? And essentially the response was, if one of our picks at number 5 is from Ohio State, we'll be pretty happy. So the guys that they saw that day impressed them. I lean towards maybe waiting on the offensive lineman until round 2. So I don't know if Maui Noah will be that guy. Unless the Giants trade down, then there's another set of group of players. Maybe the corner from LSU, Mansour, gets into that mix. But right now, I'd say it's Styles or Downs at that number 5 spot. And it's very interesting because I think if you talk to scouts, it's Styles. I think if you talk to coaches that have been able to get Downs in the meetings and get him, to kind of assess what he sees, his mind is what sets him apart at safety. So it's very interesting. It's not that Styles isn't smart or that Downs isn't physically gifted, but when you see Styles, 245 pounds, run a 4.46, that jumps out. All of a sudden you're looking at that guy as a physical specimen. You're not going to get that from Caleb Downs, and he hasn't done a lot of the athletic testing to this point. But if you ask most people in this draft who is the best defender going into the draft, you get Caleb Downs a lot more than you get anybody else. And it's probably Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, the running back on the other side. So it's a very interesting spot for the Giants. What do they do if neither player is there? Well, I'm not sure that happens, but if it does, it'll be very interesting to see what direction John Harbaugh and Joe Shane and company go.
No question. Art Stapleton, our guest. We're talking Giants draft. He's from The Record and NorthJersey.com. He's been around the Giants for a long time, and we love having him on Sports Bash. You just mentioned John Harbaugh and Joe Schoen, and that's the big elephant in the room. It's the first draft since John Harbaugh became the Giants head coach, and people have always been now wondering how much power does Joe Schoen have anymore in that Giants organization. What do you think this dynamic is like, for the Giants front office heading into this draft as they come up with decisions to make on who they're going to pick?
Well, if you listen to John Harbaugh, he has done nothing but praise Joe Schoen and the setup they've had as far as personnel and scouting and the process. And Donna Ponte has obviously come aboard, and she reports to Harbaugh. She's involved with a lot of the contract stuff. She also worked with Shane down in Miami when they were both with the Dolphins. So it seemed like a pretty good relationship there. The bottom line is Joe Schoen, in a lot of people's minds, should have lost his job last season with Brian Daboll. They should have had a clean slate. I didn't necessarily believe that. I thought it was a separation of power, but if it had happened, I would not have complained. I would have understood. But the reality is that now you're going forward. There's still that residue, right, of Peter, that residue of regret from a lot of fans, some people in the media who don't necessarily have great relationships with Joe Schoen. And it's the idea of, well, if something's going wrong, it's got to be Shane's fault. And wait till the draft, and then Shane is going to lose his job after the draft. And we're going to keep playing this, playing the hits, so to speak. I don't see that. I think Joe Schoen and John Harbaugh have worked together. Granted, there's a lot of weight on Shane's shoulders in this draft to get it right. If they start moving around the board and start trading back to get extra assets in this draft, I think it'll, come back to Joe Schoen and fall at his feet. But look, John Harbaugh is calling the shots. So you can't have it both ways. You can't look at and say all the things that go well in free agency. You got a couple wide receivers at great prices. You brought Jermaine Illuminor back at right tackle and loved the price you got him back for. You can't give Harbaugh and Aponte credit for that. And then this Dexter Lawrence thing comes up and all of a sudden it's Shane's fault. It's kind of weird, Peter, right? I mean, and like that for years. And I think
dysfunction all over the place.
Yeah. And if it's not there, we want to expect it to be there. So I think everyone's waiting for that shoe to drop where we're going to get a press release that says Joe Schoen is leaving the building or something like that. And it hasn't happened to this point, and nothing I've heard from John Harbaugh or anyone else from ownership behind the scenes publicly makes me think that they are on the verge of cutting Joe Schoen loose. I think it's just a matter of what your general manager is responsible for. And I think with the Giants, the general manager for years has been the front man. I mean, you go back to Tom Coughlin. That was really the only time after Tom Coughlin won a Super Bowl, it was almost like, okay, he's on even par with Jerry Reese. Before that, it was always Ernie Accorsi and George Young. And that was the face of the Giants. Right now, the face of the Giants is not Joe Schoen. It's John Harbaugh.
No question about it. You mentioned Dexter Lawrence before, and obviously everyone knows the story by now that he has requested a trade. He's not happy right now being a New York Giant. What's the latest on that? Where do we stand on the Dexter Lawrence situation? And is there any scenario where Dexter Lawrence is a New York Giant in 2026?
Yeah, I think that's the likeliest scenario, Peter, to be perfectly honest. I think, look, Dexter's not happy. I haven't spoken to Dexter. I want to make that clear. We all talk about this like, oh, Dexter's angry. He's mad at this. I'm not talking to Dexter right now just because he's not available. He's not talking to me. If other reporters are talking to him, great on them. But look, Dexter Lawrence feels like he outplayed the contract that he signed as an extension in May of 2023, which was a 4-year, $90 million contract, $60 million guaranteed. That put him third in the league for annual value and for total guarantees at the position behind Aaron Donald and Jeffrey Simmons. So it wasn't like 2 years ago, all of a sudden the Giants were dissing Dexter Lawrence. I think in the year, it's unfortunate for Dexter, but the timing He had a great year, an unbelievable year. He had 9 sacks going into Thanksgiving. He hurt his elbow. And then last year he came back from the elbow and did not have a great year. So is this the time where the Giants want to all of a sudden rip up Dexter Lawrence's contract, which, by the way, has 2 years left on it? It's not like this is a franchise tag situation where Dexter is going to leave via free agency and the Giants are keeping him here. He's under contract. So I think ultimately, if they get through this draft without making any trades, they go into training camp. Look, let's not forget, Peter, these fines for not being there when you're under contract are now mandatory. There was a day, you and I have covered this league a long time, where teams could just kind of void those fines and say, no problem, we got you. We got you in 3 weeks. We don't care you missed 3 weeks. It's all right. Those are mandatory now. They have to be paid. It's in the CBA. So Dexter Lawrence will be losing money from a contract that he feels he already lost money on the last 2 years. So, like I said, unless Dexter Lawrence, pulls a George Costanza and takes, the Giants 4 Vince Lombardi trophies and drives around MetLife, which he probably won't be able to do much longer anyway because FIFA's taken over the building. So, Giants can't even get anywhere near there. But anyway, I think while public perception right now is they're going to trade him, they're going to trade him, they're going to trade him, I'll take the counter argument and say, why would they trade him? Why do they need to trade him? He needs them right now, and they obviously need him. They're a better team with him than without him in the moment when they make that decision. So I think Dexter ultimately will be back here with the Giants for next year. And then if he plays well, if they're not playing well as a team, but he's playing well, maybe they trade him at the deadline. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe at the end of next season, he gets his contract extension and he's a happy camper the way O.C. Umenyiora was when he used to complain about his contract every other day when he was going head-to-head with Jerry Reese. So I think Dex will stay a Giant. I could be proven wrong if things get ugly, and we've seen that happen in this league pretty quickly. So watch out for that car pulling the Vince Lombardi trophies around the parking lot. If Dex is in the seat, then I would imagine the Giants might be looking to deal him.
Art, let's switch gears. It's funny. Social media was meant to be a good thing, and sometimes it could be raw sewage. But I thought I knew you very, very well from all the times I've been around you in the press boxes and everything. But I found out through social media that you're not even a closet wrestling fan, but you're a big wrestling fan. So I thought it would be great if we spent a couple of minutes talking about your WrestleMania 42 this weekend. What's the match you're most looking forward to seeing?
I knew that question was coming. I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan. I'm a big CM Punk fan. It's not that I don't like Roman Reigns. Honestly, I'm going to throw a curveball. I can't wait to see what they do with Seth Rollins and Gunther because I think we kind of have an idea the way that Cody and Randy is going to go on Saturday night with McAfee and, Jelly Roll, which, I really don't care the way they went down that road. I don't care for it. And I think, with Roman and CM Punk, that's going to be, the capper on Sunday night. I want to see what happens with Seth Rollins and Gunther because I don't think they wanted that match. I think injuries played into just saying, what are we going to do? We're going to mix and match. Let's just take 2 guys who are our best workers in the company, put them out there and let them go make magic. And I think they're setting up probably for Gunther and Brock in SummerSlam, if that's Brock's last match. And Seth, ultimately, I would think is going to get back with Braun Breaker. But I want to see Seth and Gunther. I want to see how that plays out.
You have the championship matches. It's Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton. You have CM Punk and Roman Reigns. You have the women's belts are on the line. Stephanie Vaquera against Liv Morgan and Jade Cargill against Rhea Ripley. The match I'm really intrigued to see, you just mentioned Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar against Obafemi. He has been so impressive since he doing a little juke there. The Obafemi juke. You think you are the ruler?
Well, some do. Some people do.
But he's been so impressive, and the promo he cut the other night on Raw was so good. I'm really looking forward to seeing this match.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, we've seen you look at what's happened with Brock. You have your Roman shirt on. I have my SummerSlam hat on from last summer. I was there both nights of SummerSlam at MetLife, and it was when Brock came back, and then the Brock just basically crushing Cena again in Cena's retirement tour. I was really disappointed with that. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see. I think Brock already has done some things for Oba to kind of build him up. I know it's happened organically with the fans. I'm interested to see if Brock takes the loss with Oba because we know Brock always gets that win, and WrestleMania, we know the 21-1 with the Undertaker, and that one was Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I mean, Oba's been great. I mean, I saw him a little bit on NXT, Peter, not to get too inside wrestling, but I didn't know he would be this. I mean, that promo on Monday night on Raw was unbelievable because the average wrestling fan looks at it and goes, well, how's he going to be able to take the mic and talk for 5 minutes? He's got that accent. It's going to be hard to understand him, that kind of thing. That was awesome. I mean, it really was. And everything he said, the timing, and it just set up perfectly with this match. So, yeah, I mean, I can't wait. And the fact that they're putting that on ESPN and not on the ESPN Plus, so that you're going to get that if you want to go. I don't know if it's ESPN or ESPN2, but the fact that Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar is going to be on regular cable, so to speak, is pretty crazy. I mean, you're going to get a lot of people to want to watch that match if they see that size. I mean, just Oba's entrance alone with the lighting behind him and everything, I think it's great. I really do.
He's been unbelievably awesome so far. Last thing on WWE, it's been an interesting few years since the merger, and now TKO merged UFC and WWE together. And the one bad thing though about it, I think the storylines have been pretty good in recent months, but obviously the biggest story that's been going on with WWE has been the ticket prices, and they have shot through the roof. And I don't think this would ever have happened if Vince McMahon was still in charge. It's pretty expensive to go to just even a Raw or SmackDown, much less a pay-per-view like WrestleMania. And I don't know if it's a huge problem right now, but it may be because they're really starting to price their fans out.
Yeah, no question. I mean, but we've seen that right in the NFL. We see that. Look, I mean, have you seen what it costs to go to a Knicks game? I mean, Knicks were terrible, and you still couldn't get. So WWE is going down that road. I mean, TKO, I think a big mistake this year was going back to Vegas. Look, this fan base, the WWE fan base, it's splintered into the people who want to watch on television, the people who want to go in person. They've eliminated a lot of live events, so you're really priced out. You can't. I mean, I remember growing up in North Jersey, going to the Brendan Byrne Arena, or Continental Airlines, or even Izod Center. Changing the names, but going every month and wanting to see shows and being able to get in for decent prices. I think they made a big mistake this year going back to Vegas rather than keeping it in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people make a week of it, and they know they're going to spend the money and they know it's going to be expensive, but it's WrestleMania. But now it's not just WrestleMania. SummerSlam was incredibly expensive last year. And it's going to be expensive again in Minneapolis this year when they move to 2 nights. So, yeah, I mean, does it help that, all of a sudden CM Punk is talking about ticket prices and Cody Rhodes is talking about ticket prices? I don't know if that's just a storyline that they've inserted McAfee into, or is that something that they're acknowledging that they need to make some changes?
Acknowledgement.
Exactly. We'll see. But, I mean, it's become so huge. I mean, Peter, like you're a wrestling fan, you don't really tweet about it. You don't want to, and then you start getting involved and you realize a lot of people are following it more than you used to be. Look, I mean, ESPN is in Vegas doing live shots from WrestleMania week. Like the event hasn't even started yet. You've got Cody Rhodes on all the shows. You've got CM Punk, Roman Reigns was on McAfee a couple weeks ago. So it's as mainstream as it gets. And the way I look at it is, like you mentioned the other day, kind of getting some Giants fans. I don't like wrestling. Just talk about Giants or else I'm going to have to block you. And it's like, well, if I came on and talked about Star Wars, which is I am a big fan of, or Game of Thrones, there's really, to me, nothing different than people being so gung-ho about Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or Marvel than they are for WWE. Yeah, I know it's scripted, but so are my favorite TV shows that I can't wait to watch at 9 o'clock. And if I'm not there to watch it at 9 o'clock, I'm worried about it getting spoiled to me online. So yeah, I mean, I love it. It's fun. When I have to remind my wife that WrestleMania is this weekend, it's kind of the okay, all right, but it's a guilty pleasure, Peter. Guilty pleasure.
Absolutely. One last thing before I say goodbye, I want you to take good care of my good friend Matt Nagy, the new Giants offensive coordinator. My old New York Dragons buddy and arena football buddy, and I'm so glad that he landed on his feet and got this job. You actually may see me around the facility this season. I'm going to have to stop by and say hello to him.
Yeah, well, right now we're not sure how many people are going to be around. You're going to make the trip to West Virginia for training camp? Because thanks to FIFA,
no, I'm not going to West Virginia, but maybe like when mini camp is underway, maybe I'll pop out then. No, I'm not going to West Virginia.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, I had asked Nagy. It's funny. Nagy is a great story in terms of, the idea of being in a comfort zone. And you and I both know it. We both have had jobs that we've held for a while, and then you move off and you try to make things work for yourself. I mean, you've done that. I asked him when we had him on a conference call last week, the idea of you're a guy who you were a head coach, things didn't work out. You were fired in Chicago. You go back to Kansas City. You're Andy Reid's right-hand man. You're winning Super Bowl rings year after year. You're number one guy. You've got the best quarterback in the world in Patrick Mahomes. What makes you get out of your comfort zone? And he said, and take this job, because you didn't take a head coaching job. You took an offensive coordinator job. And he said, look, I've never called the plays when I was in Kansas City. When I was the head coach, we called the plays, but it's not the same. I'm looking forward to being in the offensive coordinator, having Jackson Dart and Jameis Winston run this offense and seeing what we can build here with the Giants. And I think this is probably Nagy's best opportunity right now. I know everyone looked at what he did in KC, but this is his best opportunity to get another head coaching job, because if he does well with this offense, John Harbaugh is going to be pushing him and saying this guy was great for us. We know the league loves people who spend time on John Harbaugh's staff. Hello, Todd Monken getting the Cleveland job by being John Harbaugh's offensive coordinator. So, yeah, I mean, looking forward to spending some time with your guy Nagy and seeing what he does with Jackson Dart in this offense. It'd be really nice to see a healthy Malik Neighbors out there this summer for them, healthy Cam Scatterbo, and who knows, maybe Jeremiah Love is the shock the world pick at 5, and then all of a sudden you're talking about a potential juggernaut of an offense with all these playmakers. Right.
There'll be a lot of toys for Matt Nagy to play with when the season starts. Art Stapleton from The Record and NorthJersey.com. My friend, thank you so much. Had a blast talking Giants and also WrestleMania. Enjoy the draft next week. Enjoy WrestleMania this weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great, Peter. Thanks. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the weather out here.
Yeah, it looks like you're having fun out there in your backyard. So
no doubt.
Thanks so much, Art. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, Peter.
We always love having Art Stapleton on the program, and yeah, it's a big week for the Giants next week with 7 picks in the draft, the 5th overall pick, and obviously Art's getting ready for WrestleMania this weekend as well. I hope Roman Reigns beats CM Punk. That's what I'm really hoping that happens, but we'll see what happens. We're going to take a break, come back with our last segment. We've got a lot to do. We've got the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, what's hot at ticketbash.com, the coaches collectibles item of the week, when we're back to wrap up Sports Bash when we come back after this. Sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,600 families, raising over $44 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $7,100 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 84 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. And thanks again to Art Stapleton for joining us in the last segment to talk Giants and WrestleMania. We just saw the Marty Lyons Foundation spot that we run on every show. And I neglected to mention it at the top when I was supposed to. I'm going to bring it up now. Obviously, we're a week away from the NFL draft, and next Thursday is the 6th annual Marty Lyons Foundation NFL Draft Party. I am so excited to be the host and MC of this event for the 6th straight year. It's next Thursday, April 23rd, 6:30 to 9:30 at Great South Bay Brewery in Bayshore. It's a wonderful event. Marty is there, other former Jets, Ken Troy, Bobby Jackson. There's other former NFL players. There's food, there's drinks, great raffle prizes, just a lot of fun. I think last year there was about 300 people there, so we're expecting about the same. If you don't have your tickets yet, make sure you go online at MartyLyonsFoundation.org and pick up your tickets to the draft party. I hope to see you there. It's really a lot of fun. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and it's brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. We post a new poll question every Tuesday and Thursday here on the show, and in the spirit of it being WrestleMania weekend, and we just talked about this with Art Stapleton, here is the question for today. Right now, who is going to win the main event on Sunday, Roman Reigns or CM Punk? Night 2, Sunday in Las Vegas, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. Who is going to win? I think it's going to be Roman Reigns. Chris, are you a wrestling fan? No? So I'm not going to bother to ask you then. John, he's retired now. He has nothing to do. John Cena is not involved. He's the host of WrestleMania. He'll be there, but he is retired from in-ring action. So, we're expecting him to make a return as the final boss at some point here, but he's been absent shooting more movies. So we'll see when he comes back. But I think Roman Reigns is going to be the winner of that match on Sunday night. It's time for What's Hot at TicketBash.com. The Yankees host the Royals this weekend at Yankee Stadium. The Knicks will host the Hawks in Game 1 of the NBA playoffs opening round Saturday at the Garden. I like the Knicks in 6. I think the Knicks win this. I think they'll have a little bit of tough times with the Hawks. They always seem to do that. but I think the Knicks in 6 in this first round. Concerts, Demi Lovato was at the Garden April 24th. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band will come to the Garden on May 11th and 16th. He'll also be at UBS Arena on May 5th. Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind & Fire at UBS Arena on July 14th. And here's what's interesting about July 14th. That's my birthday. I would go to see Lionel Richie. I like him on American Idol. I've always enjoyed his music, and he's performing on my birthday. So maybe that's a possibility. Get the best seats, the best prices with no service fees at ticketbash.com. The Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and we talked about this on Tuesday. And again, it's Doc Gooden autographed cards. Great items here from Coach's Collectibles. Your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at www.coachescollectiblesny.com. Make sure you use the code SportsBash to get free shipping on your orders. Again, we thank Chris Gaddam and everybody here at Collaborate Studios for having us here temporarily. Again, best wishes go out to Tony Walker from Governors going through being under the weather a little bit right now. So we know he's getting better, but not yet ready to reopen up the studios next week. So we're going to be here next week at Collaborate. On Tuesday, I anticipate doing a Jets preview for the draft. We'll have a Jets reporter on, or a former Jet. We're still working on that. And then and next Thursday, we'll get further into the NFL draft on draft day itself. So looking forward to that next week here at Collaborate Studios. That'll do it for today's edition of Sports Bash, presented by ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to my guest, Art Stapleton. Again, thanks to Chris Gaddam, everyone here at Collaborate Studios. And thanks to our social media coordinator, Leanne Burgess. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Coach's Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. We are back on Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Have a great weekend, everybody.